So, a common question that often comes up is what's the relationship between the North Node and the 10th house or the Midheaven? And it's a good question, right? Because both the North Node and the 10th house or Midheaven deal with different aspects of how we are showing up in the world, moving through our lives, living our purpose, doing what we're here to do. So, they're related, but they've got different qualities to them. Let's look at three different aspects of the North Node and the 10th house and how they relate. First thing to remember is that the 10th house or the midheaven is more specifically about career type matters, or what you're doing with your life in a career type of way, what you're doing out in the world. The North Node is more of a general, we could say broader or deeper or overarching theme of what your soul is up to in this lifetime. So obviously these may intersect, and it's quite possible and likely that they will. Or maybe at different parts of your life, they will weave in and out. But the North Node encompasses more than your career. It's all about the deep soul lessons that you're here to learn in this lifetime, what you're really up to, even underneath the career, the family, the relationships, the experiences. What's the underlying through line of what your soul is here to learn and express? Whereas the 10th house gives us insight about your journey of showing up, doing things in the world, whether that's making a living, having a career, what you're doing out in the world. So two different aspects related. One thing to remember is that the North Node holds what your soul is moving towards and the lessons being learned. And the South Node, its opposite, its polarity, holds the past, which can include things that you're here to release and things you're letting go of in this lifetime. But it also involves the gifts that you came in with. We're going to talk more about that in a second. But that's the first thing to remember, is that North Node is more of an overarching, broad soul journey through this life. 10th house or midheaven is more about career. Second thing to remember is that one of the things about astrology that's so important to remember is that we're never just one thing, right? That's why we're not just our sun signs. Your sun sign is going to tell you an aspect of your identity of who you are, but it's just one piece. It's important to remember all these different flavors and layers and aspects that make us up, and very often they're going to seem contradictory. And guess what? As humans, we're contradictory. We're made up of impulses and ways of being and operating that don't always seem to make sense, or that might play against each other in interesting ways. But that's part of being human. So it's a good thing to keep in mind when we're looking at these different pieces of what's this piece of my chart say, what's this piece say, that it's going to reflect the depth and the nuance and the complexity of being a human. And that means that you might look at something and say, well, this piece of my chart says I'm this quality, but this one says I'm the opposite. And very often we hold the opposites. So keeping in mind all of the pieces. And the third thing to remember is, again, going back to that aspect of the gifts when we talk about the North Node and the South Node. So the South Node represents the gifts that you came in with. You might understand this as gifts from past lifetimes, as if you'd spent lifetimes learning these lessons. And now in this lifetime, the North Node represents what your soul is here to learn now. But the South Node represents what you already have kind of come in with. There's very likely some kind of flavor of what you already know or what you just innately hold. And at the same time, there may also be aspects of the South Node that are about what you're releasing as you go through this life. So to bring these together, let's look at an example that someone asked about. Specifically, they have their North Node in Leo, which means the south node is in Aquarius, but then their 10th house is also in Aquarius. So the question was, how does that work? If my north node is in Leo and the south node is in Aquarius, but then 10th house is in Aquarius too, like which direction am I moving or what's happening here? So keeping in mind that the overarching theme of a Leo north node, Aquarius south node polarity is about moving into the Leo qualities in this lifetime, which are all about you, are all about self-expression, joy, radiating your essence and your beingness, and really loving that, taking center stage, fully owning and being who you are, is a big piece of the Leo journey in the North Node. The Aquarius in the South Node means that what you came in with and maybe what you're releasing in some way has to do with the Aquarius mansion, which holds all the things about serving humanity and creating a better world, creating the new, being a citizen of the world. Aquarius is also all about the future, about receiving the inspiration to create and serve and build what's going to help others. Aquarius also rules science, technology, the internet. So if someone has a Leo North Node and an Aquarius South Node, there is an aspect of moving into the Leo qualities in this life, which is about, again, about you being center stage, you being fully you, moving away from, but also embodying the highest expression of the Aquarius gifts. And what it often looks like is when we fully embody the highest expression of the gifts of our South Node, then with that as a launching place, we can move into the journey of the North Node that our soul is here to explore. So this Aquarius to Leo polarity looks like you know how to serve, you know how to be in service and give yourself to others, and you're moving into being able to fully inhabit and make it all about you in this lifetime. But there also may be an aspect of gifts you came in with that have to do with the Aquarius mansion. Again, that may have to do with service, a natural ability for service, a natural connection to the global community, a natural understanding of yourself as part of a global community. May also have to do with gifts in science and technology, and just an innate understanding that you came in with of how to use these kinds of things. So that's the Aquarius to Leo journey, embodying the gifts of Aquarius, releasing anywhere that it doesn't serve you, which might be things like overgiving, and moving into what your soul purpose is, which is going to have a lot to do with finding and inhabiting your own joy and expressing that. But then the piece that this person was asking about is, so what if the 10th house is in Aquarius? That means that what you're up to on a career path and out in the world is in some way going to be influenced by or described by, again, the Aquarius mansion, the Aquarius gifts, which once again is all about service, humanity, being part of a global community, the future, inspiration, getting the downloads of the future, science, technology, the internet. These are all Aquarius ideals and ideas. So with your 10th house placed in Aquarius, with your midheaven placed in Aquarius, that means there's going to be some way that your career path, what you're up to here, is going to be described by, influenced by, and ultimately fulfilled through a working out of those kinds of ideals. And of course, your individual chart will show more what that looks like, but there's some way in which your career path intersects with the Aquarius ideas and concepts and gifts. Now, if you think about this particular this particular placement we're talking about, Leo North Node, Aquarius South Node, and an Aquarius in the 10th house, it actually makes a lot of sense because of that aspect of the South Node that holds gifts that you may have come in with. So if you came in like naturally embodying some of the gifts of the Aquarius mansion, you may very naturally be able to find your way into a career space that uses those types of gifts. And with the North Node in Leo, even while you're working out your career and who you are through your career path as it relates to the Aquarius gifts, you're also working out your ultimate soul path that's about the Leo energy, about you taking center stage. So this could be about you taking center stage in your Aquarius driven work. Just to give one example of how it might look, it could be about working in domains that are very related to Aquarius, which again could be science, technology, could also be about service, could also be about global work in some way. But even as you're working in those fields, there could be an inner journey of you bringing the Leo quality to your work, because that's the journey that your soul wants to be on in this lifetime, is embodying those Leo qualities, even as you're doing the Aquarius work. So that's one example of how they could play together and how they interact. Again, we're remembering the complexity of all the pieces that make us up, but when we understand the energy beneath them, it can help us to identify and clearly land in, yes, that's what I'm feeling. That's my gifts here. This is where I'm being drawn to move forward. This is what my soul wants to do. Hope this is helpful. Sending you lots and lots of love as you explore into all these gifts in all the ways. Take care.